အရင်ကြောက်တော့ပါနော်ကြောက်ပြီးတော့မှနောက်တစ်ခေါက်နေမောနော်ဒီလိုမျိုးဆက် on နေမယ်ဆိုရင်နေပါရကလေးကိုငါလည်းထိုးပြမယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတွေပြောတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလည်းကျွန်တော်လည်းအရင်ကြောက်ပြီးတော့လေသူကလေကျွန်တော်အသေးလည်းဒီလိုမျိုးအဒမချင်တော့နော်အဲ့ဒါနဲ့ကျွန်တော်လည်းနေနေပဲခက်တဲ့လိုပဲခါပြရတော့ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတရားပဲလားဆိုလည်းမဟုတ်တရားပြီးတော့တရားနဲ့တုံးလေးရောက်တော့ထီကိုတစ်ခါဆိုအဲ့လိုမျိုးပဲပြေးတော့နော်
ပမာစစ်သားတွေကအတင်းခေါ်ပြီးမှသူတို့ခေါ်တာရအတင်းချစ်ခါရတယ်ကြီးရယ်ဆိုပြီးမှအဲ့လိုမျိုးနိုင်စားတာပေါ့ရွာသားတွေကိုတအားနိုင်စားတယ်တမီးတို့ဖက်ဆွန်းတမီးတို့ရွာဆွန်း
These are the stories of women who endured brutal gang rapes by the Burma army in conflict zones in 2011. Hundreds of women and girls across the country share these tragic experiences. To this day, justice remains out of reach, and the perpetrators continue to walk free with impunity.
The Burmese military, they have committed the sexual violence in Burma that targeted the civilians, the ethnic women for more than 7 decades. So the committed by the military is not accidentally. They are structured systematically and targeted. So they use the sexual violence as a weapon of war, and we also see the same pattern in every case that committed by the military. And every case that committed by the military, the regimes, they are also enjoining the impunity. The survivor of sexual violence who came forward to seek justice and to tell the truth, then most of the case survivors, they are disappearing and also threats by the military hunters. People who came, instead of getting or accessing the justice, they are just disappearing, killing by the military hunters. And also not only threats to the survivor, but also the family members, the community as well.
Following the coup, WLB had documented more than 700 cases of women and girls, some of them being gang raped by groups of soldiers, with some assaults resulting in death. A large number of these incidents have occurred in areas with ongoing conflict, particularly in Karenni State, Shan State, and the Sagaing region.
The rule of law institution is not working well. The justice system is broken because of the military coup. The value of the democracy, the principles of the democracy, the value of the human rights are being collapsed. The rule of law institution collapsed. That's why the conflict-related sexual violence case increased a lot after the military coup.
The Women's League of Burma and its member organizations have been supporting survivors of sexual violence with counseling, shelter, and medical care. They also work with partner NGOs to ensure access to legal assistance. They have supported over 181 survivors and established safe houses across all states and regions.
For the Women's League of Burma, we support the survivor like conflict-related sexual violence for the future justice seeking. So when it comes to the future justice seeking, it includes the international justice and the accountability of the perpetrators, and as well as like justice seeking in the national level. We also provide like the emergency support, like temporary shelter for the survivor of the sexual and gender-based violence, and also providing psychological and mentoring support to the families, the survivors, the victims of the conflict-related sexual violence.
In Burma, the legal system has long protected state actors from accountability for gender-based violence, while also upholding laws that openly discriminate against women. This not only denies victims access to justice, but also reinforces a culture of impunity among state officials.
Burma's legal system has never been for the protection of the women, whether for the women in the city or in rural or in the conflict areas. There are many different international laws as well as instruments and mechanisms, UN resolutions. Every year there are resolutions on Burma, Myanmar. These are important, but when it comes to the real actions to stop the violence against women or to hold the perpetrators to account by law, these instruments are not as effective yet. They need to be further strengthened. Particularly, there is a lack of political will by the world leaders when it comes to address or stop the conflict-related sexual violence, especially in the countries like Burma, Myanmar. The United Nations are already set up this independent investigative mechanism for Myanmar, for example. They have all these evidences. So basically, what we are needing is the commitment and political will of the world leaders. And the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 is to address or to stop the sexual violence in the conflict areas. But when you have like China and Russia who are supporting or providing or shielding, protecting the Myanmar military, how can we actually hold this Myanmar military to account by international law? These instruments are important, such as like UN Security Council Resolution 1325, this year marking 25 years. So what we need is we need other countries who really care for such issue, like Canada, for example, or the EU, the UK. These countries need to take the leadership to find all means and all other avenues and international mechanisms available to stop this military continuing and committing these sexual violence with full impunity, but also hold them accountable by international law, such as like by issuing the arrest warrant against Myanmar Line to bring to The Hague.
The Women's League of Burma, since its formation in December 1999, has exposed systematic sexual violence and human rights abuses by the military, especially in rural and ethnic areas.
The message that I want to give to international community is that they just cannot forget the crisis in Myanmar. Burma-Myanmar crisis is holy crisis. When it comes to military-made disaster, what other solution do they have except holding this Myanmar military to account? And how do they do that? They need to really stop selling or transferring arms, military munitions, also technologies, and also particularly aviation fuel. Because we need to stop the aviation fuel selling to the Myanmar military so that all these daily bombing to the civilians, women, children, elderly, these all need to stop.